Notice I've scratched a few things.
That's good. That's great.
Now, I don't remember that this was next, but it probably was. All the while, Lorne was still considering possibilities, but he now had a pole trailer to haul logs for the sawmill. The trailer would be used to haul trees for bridge timbers across the creek from the highway. Planks would be used for decking the bridge, and poles for the bridge rails, and an asphalt road paved for the subdivision. Lorne supervised war prisoners working in the sugar beet fields on the land joining us. That land happened to be on the other side from the strip he bought. It was where my sister and her husband had moved, and he wasn't doing anything except out selling. And so Lorne, and they had war prisoners, they put sugar beets in, and so Lorne watched those prisoners. The military decided he was doing more for the country. Oh, I scratched the E and put an A in. I couldn't see what I did. He was doing more for his country than he would be as a soldier, so he wasn't drafted.
Sure.
And then that was a good picture. I couldn't find that. Are we okay so far?
Doing great. I think it's flowing very good.
Well, yeah. A planer. We had a shed there on that property, and that's where he put this stuff. A planer, a forge, a log cabin. The old can-doer did it. The logs were tongued and grooved, smooth inside walls and planks for flooring, aluminum. I don't know what that and is doing in there. Planks for flooring.
And aluminum window frames.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I can't read it.
Yeah, that looks good.
A heavy wood door with a small window. It had a little triangle window he framed in up there in the door. Where am I now? Heavy wood door with a small window and iron bar trim. I don't know why he did that, but those are iron bars he's got across that door. The kitchen and bathroom were back to back for plumbing. Oh, and there was a picket fence around the cabin. Now we could move in and sell the farmhouse with acreage along the highway. We could keep the land with the orchard and could now buy the strip of land adjoining us where the creek continued and was running near the highway. So Lorne bought the strip of land to begin a subdivision. One day Lorne asked me to draw up some house plans for the homes in the subdivision. He knew I could draw little because I never had anything big to live in. First, the 2 bedrooms. He would have them struck for the blueprints. A large water main onto the property would supply water for the homes. He hauled in the wood materials. Then with a concrete mixer, he would pour foundations. He hired a plumber, but when the water was left running and filled the space in the poured foundations, he took over that job too. The 2 bedrooms homes were built on a half-acre lots. The 3 bedrooms were built on 1-acre lots. He also built some elite homes at personal request. Most of those homes were sold before they were completed. Here we come. I forget what you are. I should know. That picture of that horse. But anyway, these are the pictures I want changed. In that, we'll put old Granite. I got his. Did you get that picture?
I will. When you're done reading, I'll
Okay.
grab them.
And this here, I want the picture of those pretty rims with the horses on
You
it.
bet.
Lorne and I had owned several horses since our marriage in 1931. but on one of our fishing excursions in the Colorado high country, we saw a beautiful leopard-spotted mare grazing in a meadow. Being quite taken with her striking appearance, Lorne returned to the area to try and locate her owner to see if he could buy her. The old can-doer did find her owner, Mr. Werner, and she became our first leopard-spotted mare. Mr. Werner said she was out of a black mare sired by an Appaloosa stud. Well, I don't know that she was. No, she was sired by Lochleven, so that wasn't it. But that picture's, it's the stud. We named her Freckle Gal. Lorne searched and found 2 more leopard-spotted horses and a young leopard stallion. We then had these beautiful horses on a 1,000-acre we named the Rimrock Ranch, with a beautiful rock wall boundary along one side. That's where that picture goes. One side of it. The horses began to multiply. The more our horse population grew, the busier Lorne would be taking trips selling and delivering young stock. He had built a barn for feed and stallion stalls with small runs connected to a long run at the ends. The stallions were turned out one at a time for their exercise in the long run. It was my job to turn the stallions out one at a time for their exercise. Don't remember, where was I going to put that picture of De Niro?
Well, that's probably right in here.
Well, I thought about it, and then I found another place I needed it.
Okay.
So maybe it'll show up in here.
Yeah.
Rio de Janeiro was at Rimrock Ranch in 1962. Lorne decided to enter him in the 15th National Appaloosa Stock Horse Race in Springfield, Illinois. He'd hired a jockey to ride Rio de Janeiro in the race, but as luck would have it, the jockey didn't show up. It was almost time for the race. It was almost time for the race. Now, wait a minute. To ensue? What does ensue mean?
To begin.
It does.
Yeah. I think that was your word. Either that.
I can't remember my. And it was almost time for the race to ensue. I guess that's all right. Maybe you put it in. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
And Lorne had to make a decision. Should I scratch Rio de Janeiro from the race or ride him myself? He had never ridden out of a starter gate in his life, but he decided to ride in the race himself. All he had for a saddle was a heavy ranch saddle and his heavy riding boots. Most of the riders in the race would check in with their body weight and their equipment at about 165 pounds. Lorne weighed in a bit over 200 pounds. This was a huge disadvantage for the Colorado duo. I guess duo is all right to mention because I mention it at the end again.
Yeah.
The gate opened and they were off. Lorne said that he and De Niro were so wide that his boots scraped along the edge of the gate as they took off. All the other horses were out of the gate and on their way, as De Niro was the last one out. I don't know whether, is that as there or and? I don't know. What did I say? All the other horses were out of the gate and on their way, as De Niro.
You could put that as and.
Put what?
We could put a little mark beside it so that we can make that an and.
I don't think that's going to mark.
There's a pen.
was the last one out. Now running at the back of the pack, there was clearly some catching up to do. And boy, did they catch up. Now that's your wording. I didn't put that in.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Lorne saw those rumps out in front of him and remembered that Rio de Janeiro was a reining horse. Lorne and De Niro were speaking the same language now. Lorne reined the old horse around the first horse in front of them. Then the next one, then the next, all the way through the field of horses, until there was no more horses to pass. Spectators later reported that when Lorne and Rio de Janeiro crossed the finish line, there was another horse even close. And then what? You had what a horse, what a race. You put that in. And then I said, at the end, I just wrote can do or choose some.
Perfect. That's easy to change.
Rimrock Ranch. I don't know what I've said there. I wanted to ask you, is that where the Rimrock Ranch article should kind of go in, where we went all those?
That's a great idea. Yeah.
That's what that is. That word is article.
Okay.
It isn't spelled right.
There you go.
Okay, I don't know where you would want to put it, whether you could find the space in this page or what.
Okay.
Boy, we're sure getting the end of this story. Isn't there anything else goes in?
What do you mean?
Well, it seems like we're coming to the end pretty quick.
There's still 4 or 5 pages left.
Oh, what have we got in? Oh, haven't gone to Canada yet.
Right.
Okay. So I guess this does fit in before we went to Canada. It's finding the Church of God. We never moved into the old house, but we did have a couple of sleeping rooms for visitors. Lorne and I were staying in our trailer. During one of Lorne's sailing trips, my mother was visiting. She asked if she could listen to her church program on the radio, and I heard it. 3 times I heard the name of God's church with given scriptures. Wow. For 50 years I'd searched history, encyclopedias, and then so forth, and had never found it. Why hadn't I looked in the Bible? I couldn't wait to talk with a Church of God minister. I was baptized into God's church, attended service, and took an elderly couple along. Lorne returned from his horse-selling trip. I was a bit edgy and told him I was attending a Seventh-day Sabbath. I knew his dad was a Sunday, you know. I will take you and the elderly couple next Sabbath. I told him, you can't just walk in. So he agreed to sit down in the auditorium balcony. Of course, he heard the message. I said he had heard the message. I don't know whether that had needs to be there. When you read it, you'll know. Then he went down afterward to talk to the minister. We were planning the trip to Canada. The minister came to me and said, your husband does not know about this church, but he does know the Bible. Wound up, Lorne was baptized and delved to do I want to say each teaching or every teaching? How do I word that?
I thought it sounded pretty good the way it was.
Lorne was baptized and delved into each teaching. We attended church every Sabbath. Later on, during the move to Canada on a Sabbath, the horses were unloaded and put